Lesson 3, Part 1A, English Participles. To understand Greek participles, we're going to start with looking at English participles. However, participles actually make more sense in Greek than they do in English. At least I think so. But we'll start with English since it's what we know. A participle in English is a verb form that is functioning as an adjective. Now, in Greek, it can also function as an adverb. The bouncing ball was kicked. Ball is a noun. Which ball? The bouncing ball. Bouncing is describing ball. But if you look at the word bouncing, it is something that we can do. I could say, I will bounce the ball, or I could say the ball will bounce, or the ball is bouncing. I can make a different sentence with this used as a verb, particularly with a helping verb, where that's actually the verb of the sentence, but here it's being used to describe the ball because we're talking about something else happening to the ball. The ball was kicked. So bouncing is not the action in this sentence per se. It's helping us identify which one. So it's an adjective, but it's a verb form. It's a participle. The broken chair fell over. The chair is in a state of having been broken. We could flip this around and say the chair was broken, or so-and-so broke the chair, and there broke or broken would be a verb of the sentence, but here it's an adjective telling us which one. The jumping boy needed to calm down. I looked at the shattered bowl. He was falling into the gaping hole. Jumping up and down, the boy tripped over the root. Now that one's a little bit different. It almost feels like an adverb. And in Greek, this actually would be an adverbial phrase probably, but it's describing boy. That's just the way that it works in English. If you've got one at the beginning of a sentence like that, that looks like it could be describing the whole sentence maybe, or telling when, it actually is describing the subject. Running to third base, the girl decided to slide. In each of these sentences, the word that is normally a verb, the one that's underlined, is acting like an adjective describing a noun, which is in italics. In English, participles can have two different forms of the verb, or can show up in two different forms of the verb. Now, each verb in English has four forms. Their names are really confusing because they have nothing to do with the tense of the verb, but these are their names: the present participle, the past, and the past participle. Those are the four forms of our English verb. So observe. We've got some verbs where we have just the regular verb here, the present form, and we have the present participle where we get that by adding ing, the past that we get by adding ed, and the past participle that we also get by adding ed. So you notice the past and the past participle are the same. That's sort of, this is the most common pattern for English. This is the regular form of verbs where nothing unusual is happening. This is what will happen right here. The present participle, and past participle are the two forms that can be used for participles in English. Then we've got some where we add ing to get the present participle, just the same, but they have some kind of irregular form in the past. That's the same in the past participle. So bleed, bleeding, bled, bled, breed, breeding, bred, bred, bend, bending, bent, bent, bind, binding, bound, bound, and there's plenty more just like those. Then we've got some where we add ing for the present participle. Then the past and the past participle are exactly the same as the present: bet, betting, bet, bust, busting, bust, broadcast, broadcasting, broadcast, cast, casting, cast. They're the same except for the present participle. Then we've got some where we add an ing for the present participle. That's going to be the same for absolutely everything. Then a completely irregular form in the past, and then some kind of n form added to the end for the past participle. Here's where we actually have different past participles. So awake, awaking, awoke, awoken, beat, beating, beat, beaten, break, breaking, broke, broken, bite, biting, bit, bitten. Then there are some where there is a vowel change in there. So become, becoming, became, become, which that one actually comes all the way back to what the present form was. Come, coming, came, come, same thing. Do, doing, did, done. Those are all different. Drink, drinking, drank, drunk. And that one's very different as well. And there are plenty more of these that you could probably think of. We use the present participle and the past participle forms of the verb to make a participle in English. So that could be an ed form, is one of the common forms, or one ending with n, or as we saw in some of these last ones, just something that's very different. But don't worry, it will sound right in English to you if you're a native English speaker. Because a participle is a verb form, it can have a direct object, indirect object, adverbs, or prepositional phrases. The participle and all of the words that modify it is called a participle phrase. So smiling at the student, the teacher asked the terrified student a challenging question. At the student is an adverbial prepositional phrase describing smiling. Smiling where? Smiling at the student. Circling the globe, Magellan grew sick of rowing. Globe is a direct object of circling. So circling what? Circling the globe. Globe is the direct object of our participle circling. Summary. A participle is a verb form used as an adjective or adverb. The English present participle, the ing form, or past participle, normally ed or n forms of the verb, are used to make participles in English. A participle can have a direct object, indirect object, adverbs, or prepositional phrases. The participle and all the words that modify it is called a participle phrase.